Okay, guys, I'm going to show you how to split tone a photograph, and that is the method by which you leave an area of your photograph as is, and then you select another area to change the color. So this is something you apply only to a specific area, hence the name split toning. So we're going to begin by opening the photo that you have selected to split tone. And I've been playing with Fiona's image. Thank you, Fiona. It's a great candidate. And so here it's available to me just to click on. Once you get your image open, you're going to save it two different ways. I'm going to go to File, Save, and I'm going to save the first time as background. And I'm going to download that. And then I'm going to go up and I'm going to save it again. This time I'm going to save the image as foreground. And download. Okay. Now, we're going to open the ones that we just saved. So File, Open Image, Background. And we're going to File, Open Image, and find the foreground. Same exact photo. Next thing we need to do is get rid of our original. We don't want that up here distracting us. So we're just going to X out. So all we have remaining is background and foreground. Okay, now we're going to click on the foreground tab. That's where we are right now. And we are going to make a selection. That is, we're going to select the area that we want to cut out. And we're going to do that with the lasso tool right up here. We're going to click and drag our mouse fairly close to the edge, but you're going to be fine-tuning this a little later with the eraser, so it does not need to be perfect. In fact, it is impossible to be perfect with this. And then you take your selection as close to where you started as possible, let go of the mouse, and then it will close the selection for you. If these little dots appear to be moving, it is a closed selection, which is what you want. If you mess up, you can always right-click and hit deselect and start over, or you can go up to select, deselect. Either way will let you start over. All right, at this point we want to go up to Edit, Copy, and that will just copy our selection. And then we move back to the background. Follow the sequence carefully. Now we're at the background. The first thing we want to do when we get back to the background is to turn it black and white. So we're going to go to Adjustment, Desaturate, and then we're going to adjust the colors a little bit. This is pretty gray and monotone. So in order to adjust the pop, we're going to go to Adjust Levels, and we're going to tweak these levels until we get maximum vibrancy and contrast without losing too much detail. The idea is not to lose any detail, but sometimes you've just got to sacrifice a little detail in order to get these as bright and clear as we want them. So I'm going to take a look now compare this to what we started with here with this compare button. Hopefully on your screen you can see that the original was kind of muted and now it's a little more vibrant. And I'm going to click apply. Now we go up to edit and paste, and voila, our selection appears on a black and white background. But we need to move it in place. In order to do that, we're going to grab the arrange tool up here, and we're going to get rid of that add, and we are going to, the best of our ability, put it right back where it belongs. And Pixlr has a pretty good idea where you want to put it, and it will usually snap into place when you're really close, and that's what just happened there. Okay, now comes the challenging part. And we're on the home stretch, but the home stretch takes a minute. What we're going to do is go in and erase the perimeter, everything outside of what we want our selection to be. And there are a couple things that are going to make that easier. One is going to be zooming in, and you can do that with your scroll wheel on your mouse, or you can use Control plus or Control minus. The other really handy tool is going to be to hold down the space bar, and then with your mouse you can click and drag the image around as you move around. You want to be really close in order to see what you're doing. Then we're going to be selecting the eraser tool. Another really convenient keyboard shortcut here is to control the size of the eraser. You're going to want to use either your comma, which shrinks the size, or the period key to enlarge the size of the eraser. And then what we're going to do is just click and hold as we drag the eraser around the edge of your selection. I always recommend that you do it in fairly short strokes. And that is, I'm only going a couple inches at a time. If you go too far and you mess up, then you've got to start over and go the entire length from wherever your starting point was. So you don't want to just do like single little clicks. Do some nice long stretches like this. And then when you get into a tricky situation like a little corner like this, then just reduce the size of your eraser. And it's much easier to get in there and get some of that little detail out. And I'm just going to continue on around this piece, and I'll be back with you in just a second. Okay, here we are just a couple of minutes later, and I have erased the background. I am still on the background, or still on the foreground here. As you can see, as the foreground is selected in my layers. If I want to tweak the color a little bit, maybe make it a little bit more vibrant, now is the time to do that. I can adjust my hue and saturation, and maybe crank my saturation up just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more pop. You don't want to get crazy. Well, maybe you do, but don't do it. This would just give it even a little bit more pop from that black and white background. You can see the hue. Generally, that starts looking pretty obviously manipulated if you mess with the hue. But there you have it, a nice finished product. And then we'll file and then save that however you like.